I done a video like 6-7 years ago called "Is Drake a Culture Vulture?" When it was not popular to be saying that type of thing at the time. Drake was extremely well liked at this time. So it was not popular to be saying this type of thing about him. You know what really irks me? It's the groupthink mentality. Because everyone is thinking this way, a certain way, I need to start thinking this way too. And I really sat back and thought about, why does this bother me so much? Because this isn't something that just bothers me regarding hip hop. It bothers me in general. Someone who cannot or refuses to think on their own, to me, that just strikes me as someone who is extremely weak, extremely like no backbone, like just a weak-minded person. This is why it bothers me so much. Hey y'all, I am a one-man show. I record, edit the video myself, create the thumbnail, everything. So hitting like and subscribe does help a bunch. Thanks so much. Back to the video. Now, I actually don't have a problem with people who enjoy Drake's music. I have an issue more so with people who follow the crowd mindset, who pretend to like something that they don't actually like, or pretend to dislike something that they don't actually dislike. And this isn't a shot at Problem or Hitta J3 personally. I don't know these guys. I'm sure they make great music. Well, we know Problem makes great music. Huh? What? Give a fuck, nigga. Yeah, this puzzles me so much that I even bought a book to try to understand the whole group thought process. And the book is called The Crowd by Gustave Le Bon. He's a French author. And the book goes into how people, individuals, change their thought process when it comes to groups. So their individuals' thoughts and how that changes when they are in a group. I seriously do not understand this, but it seems like this is how most people operate. So I even bought a book to try to understand this thing, right? And again, y'all know my history with Drake. Y'all know how critical I have been of Drake his entire career. I would say Drake drops an album that I like maybe 1 out of every 4 albums, right? He's probably got about 3 albums that I have in my rotation. So he does have songs that I like, but I have always been, I've done a video on this, I've always been very critical of Drake's music. I've always thought he was just overhyped, right? So I do find it odd that as an original Drake hater, I do find it odd how so many people have flipped recently since the Kendrick beef, pretending like they've always hated Drake, like he's always been this cultural monster and, you know, all these things that Kendrick mentioned in the beef. I find it odd how so many people have completely flipped. Here we have a tweet from JasonMartin, AKA Problem. And shout out to Problem, you know, he does some good music. He's got some great music with DJ Quick, and he's got some hit records, you know, in his catalog. In 2019, he tweeted, "Drake's the best all-around artist of my generation. Y'all look dumb as hell treating him as anything except such." Basically what he's saying is y'all look dumb treating him as anything other than the best all-around artist of his generation. Now in 2019, I would have replied, I think Kendrick is the best all-around artist of his generation. I think Drake is the most popular. He wins in sales. But I think all around, you want to talk all around? In 2019, I still would have said Kendrick. In 2012, I would have said Kendrick. In 2010, I would have said Kendrick. I would hope that JasonMartin feels the same way. I would hope that Problem feels the same way today, because not much has changed from 2019 regarding Drake. Here we have a tweet from Hitta J3. So this is one of Kendrick's friends. He says, "I'll admit, I F with Drake before he went against the gang." I guess by the gang, he means PG Lang and Kendrick. "You would be a lie if you say otherwise." So I interpret this as Hitta J3 saying, I mess with Drake's music before the Kendrick and Drake beef. You would be lying if you said you didn't mess with his music too. And I can tell y'all, as someone who has always been at odds ends with Drake fans, with Young Money fans, this is actually how they think. I don't know if Hitta J3 is saying this exactly, but this is what it sounds like he's saying to me. Yo, I messed with Drake music before he went against Kendrick, and if you say you wasn't messing with his music, you lying. That's what it sounds like he's saying to me. And I can confirm to y'all, this is always how Drake fans thought. If you said you didn't like Drake's music back in the day, they would just think you're lying. Like, oh, you're lying. We know you got Drake albums on your iPod. You're lying. Drake fans, especially back in the day. Nowadays, I think they're a little more humbled, but again, I don't know what goes on in OVO land. But back in the day, 2013, 14, this is how a lot of Drake fans thought, and just Young Money fans in general. You told them you don't listen to Drake, they'd be like, oh, who do you listen to then? Wayne? Oh, you must like Wayne. No, I don't listen to him either. This is how they will react. You're lying. There's no way you don't listen to Drake's music. Now, I can't say I don't listen to any of Drake's music, but in general, I'm not gung-ho about his music like that. I felt this way about Drake before the Kendrick beef, and I feel this way after. And now, if Drake drops some music that I like, I'm not gonna pretend like it ain't, like if it's fire, I can't pretend like it's not fire if it's fire, right? And this is not to single out Problem, because I don't think Problem has come out and said anything crazy about Drake. Again, I don't know, I don't watch too many hip hop platforms, but I do know he's been more so on the Kendrick side, and Hitta J3 is obviously Kendrick's friend. This is not really to single these guys out. This is to expose a behavior that I really don't understand, but I think it's prevalent in the hip hop community. There's a lot of people out here like this. There's a lot of people out here who's talking this whole culture-ish. They hate Drake and all this. They the biggest Kendrick fans, but these people love Drake's music. This is facts. Facts. These people love Drake's music. Facts. And always have. And there's nothing wrong with that. My thing is the shape-shifting in order to fit in. That's what irks me. You can like Drake's music. It's fine, bro. Drake got songs that I like. Up All Night, Show Me a Good Time. I like his new joint, the TLC bar. He got stuff I like. To me, the part is to pretending you don't like or you was never messing with Drake's music. Pretending like, yo, after the Kendrick beef, you just don't like Drake no more when you always love Drake's music. That's what irks me. And I know what some people will say, well, oh, with new information, they should be able to change their opinion and da-da-da. Wasn't none of this information Kendrick said in the beef new. Kendrick didn't put out anything new about Drake. Everything Kendrick said about Drake was already out there. There's only one thing that's arguably new, and that's the whole daughter situation, which we still don't even know if it's true. If that's true, that's the one novel thing that Kendrick said that was actually new. All this stuff that Kendrick said had already been known in 2023 and 2019, 2014, all this was already known. I've done a video like 6-7 years ago called Is Drake a Culture Vulture? And I wasn't even the first one to do a video like that, I don't think. People have been saying this. The video with the 17-year-old and all this, that had been out. That had already gone viral. So to pretend like, yo, oh, it's because Kendrick exposed it to me and that's made me see the light. That's when I'm gonna start looking at you just like, you're shape-shifting. You're shape-shifting and you're grifting. Because all this information was already out there. Now, if you come to me and you say, okay, well, I wasn't even a big fan of hip hop back then. I wasn't really in the hip hop community. I didn't know. Then I will be like, all right, that makes sense. But if you pretending to be like a voice of hip hop in the hip hop media sphere on YouTube, if you're pretending to be like a voice of hip hop and you telling me like, it's the Kendrick beef that shined the light on me that made me feel like I can't support Drake anymore. If that's you, you just don't know shit about hip hop. You wasn't paying attention in hip hop and it's cool. But then don't try to come out like an expert or like, you know so much about the culture and all this. Like, you wasn't tapped in. You were a casual hip hop listener. Then Kendrick and Drake beef went off. Then Kendrick, it was popular to support him. So you went and supported him because it was a popular thing to do. Tell the truth. That's all I say. Tell the truth. And again, this is not the discredit Problem, because I saw this tweet on my timeline. I don't know if Problem has been super anti-Kendrick, super anti-Drake. I don't really know. But what he says here and what Hitta J3 says here, a lot of people fall into this. At least Hitta J3 is actually admitting it. He's coming out and basically saying the part that irks me. Yeah, I mess with Drake, but then he went against Kendrick, so I can't mess with him no more. Even though I think that's asinine, I respect that he just comes out and says it as opposed to like trying to play these mental gymnastics Like, oh, well, the culture and I didn't know all the things about Drake back then. And nah, Hitta J3 is like, yeah, I mess with Drake regardless. But once he went against my friend Kendrick, yeah, I just can't support him anymore. Period. It's the group thought that be irking me, man. So I just had to get that out. I just had to, you know, voice that. Cause I'll be seeing tweets like this and I'll be like, why does this bother me? Like, it's not that you guys like Drake's music. People have been liking Drake's music all my life, right? It's the fact that people are like shape-shifting, groupthink. That really irks me. And it's not just something that irks me in hip hop. It irks me across everything. Like, people who don't have original thought, people who don't have minds of their own and just follows the group consensus, you know, instead of thinking for themselves. I don't understand that. I really don't understand. I've read books on it to try to understand it. I just don't understand that line of thought. So anyway, it should be an interesting rollout as Drake rolls out this Iceman joint. Hopefully this turns out to be one of the Drake albums that I end up liking. Like I say, I probably like 1 out of every 4 Drake albums. The last Drake album that I liked was Scorpion, which was 2018. So we're about due for, you know, a Drake album that I actually like. I think if he's rapping on it more, you know, I don't really like the whole 4 p.m. and, you know, Dallas flow, that whole sleepy flow where he's reminiscing. I don't like that type of stuff from Drake. So hopefully it's not too much of that, but we'll see. We'll see, man. But I did like the single What Did I Miss? I like that little song he put out, so we'll see, man. So anyway, let me know what y'all think in the comments, top5rapwebsite.com. Peace.